So today people will say, oh, Imam Ahmad was the father of Ahl Sunnah. How was Imam Ahmad the father of Ahl Sunnah? I don't know how he was the father of Ahl Sunnah. How? What made him the father of Ahl Sunnah? Uh, Genuine question. What made him the father? This is just something the Hanbalis used to say. But today it became, you see, the propaganda is so widespread that everybody says it and they don't know why they say it. Oh, Imam Ahmad was the father of Ahl Sunnah. You say, well, hmm, why? You say, why isn't Imam Malik the father of Ahl Sunnah? Why is Imam Ahmad? Say, yeah, but he got beaten up for it. You say, well, so? I mean, what, like, in all honesty, he did get beat up for the Quran mas'ala. Is it created or not created? And he took a stance saying it's not created and he got beat up. But according to the Hanbalis, he actually did say it was created and they let him off. I mean, sorry, according to the Mu'tazila. So Jahid and these people write that Imam Ahmad actually accepted. And that's why he wasn't killed. He was spared, not because he was some saint. This is just propaganda that later Hanbali said, oh, he was some kind of saint, so they let him off. Like hell would they care about him being some saint? I mean, you need to read what they were doing. I mean, they didn't give a damn about him. He wasn't this huge person that he later on became. You see, so in his day and age, he was taken and beaten. They didn't care about who he was. He wasn't he was a very poor person, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He wasn't like Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, who were incredibly wealthy and connected. They had like huge networks of power in their day and age. Imam Ahmad and Imam Shafi'i were incredibly poor. They were like from, barely meet the subsistence level. Like they were struggling to meet just to rise above the poverty line. These people never had no powerful networks, neither were they feared, nor were they. I'm not trying to diss them. I mean, they did a great service in striving for Islam and learning about Islam, but they weren't these figures that they posthumously became. So Imam Ahmad in his day and age did take a stance against the caliph. And yes, so did many people. He wasn't the only person. Other people were actually killed. He wasn't killed. And his inquisition was actually very small compared to what happened to the other people. Because his inquisition takes place during Ma'mun's time, who only lives for 4 months during the inquisition. The inquisition goes on for 15 years. So Imam Ahmad gets off very lightly. And the question was, why did he get off? So this is one of the questions a lot of people ask, that why did he get off? And he says, and then he was not allowed to teach publicly. And he didn't teach, so he wasn't this kind of great defiance of authority, because when they said you better not teach, he didn't teach. He just sat at home for the rest of his life and obviously didn't teach publicly. So he wasn't this great defiant character, but he did take a stance on that, and then he was let off within weeks. He was let off the hook. And the question was, why was he let off the hook when other people were clearly not let off the hook? And they were great scholars, and some of them were killed. And the Mu'tazila say, because he just said after a couple of weeks, yeah, I say whatever you say. And they let him go. And then when he was released, he just, when people asked him, did you say it? He just said no. But according to the Mu'tazila, he did say it. He said, yes, the Quran is created to please the caliph, and then got let off. And to be honest with you, this is not hard to believe, because it wouldn't be haram to do that. It's okay to save your life, even if you don't believe in something, to say that you believe in it. So, and later on, he must have just been embarrassed and not owned up to it. But the Hanbalis after him are the ones that big him up and turn him into this glorified hero. That, oh, Imam Ahmad was the father of Ahl Sunnah and he strives and he does this and does that. And yeah, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because how our discourse is so dominated today without even realizing. Like, we say things, we don't know the history behind them, and so what we say today, oh, is the Quran created? Even many Ash'aris don't realize that actually their books say it is created. They just use a different word. And these guys have never thought about it. Remember, I told you that Dr. Um, uh, right, Dr. Abdullah Hamid Ali from Zaytuna. He reached out to me last year saying that, look, Mufti, I heard you say this and this is wrong. The Asharis don't say this, and they never say the Quran is created. I said to him, Sheikh, they do. They just, I think you need to check, reread the text. And he said, well, I've read it 100 times and all this. And he went back and forth. And then I showed him. I said, well, you've clearly read this part, haven't you? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, what do you think that means? When it says that the kalam, the lafzi is muhdath, that the worded kalam of Allah, which is the Quran, the Arabic Quran, is muhdath. It is actually invented and generated. And then he just went, ah, and the penny dropped. And this happens with many Ash'aris. They don't know, but the actual books do teach you that the Arabic Quran is a created Quran, but the original message with God was an unworded message. It did not contain words. It was like a sheer frequency, which once it enters this realm becomes created in words. I hope that makes sense.